in my head, I always thought I had some disadvantage that I couldn't overcome, right? I always thought like to be that guy, I had to change myself so much that I was no longer going to be myself. And what I realized, and we were kind of talking about this, that like when you really think of the difference of the guy who does really well and the guy who doesn't, it's really just like a few little secrets, right? Hey guys, Bobby here with Rob, and we kind of want to create this quick video because Rob is actually in town visiting. He actually taught in New York City this weekend a live training program with a student, and the student was actually a student that I had coached for a really long time. And I talked to the student after his session with Rob, and he said something that like just kind of it kind of blew my mind. And I immediately, we were hanging out today, and I go, we got to do a video about this because it's something that I think every guy needs to hear. And what the student said to me, because at some point in the night where he was out with Rob, they were at a loud nightclub, and the student said, Rob, I need to see you go over and approach a girl. I need to see it, right? I need to see you able to do it because I think it'll help me.
Yeah, and and that's the thing. And walked over to this girl, cute, nice little college girl over at this little kind of loud, raunchy bar down over on the Lower East Side. And I approached this girl, and it went, really well, and it was a fun interaction, and it was cool for the student to see that because he really got to see a lot of the concepts that we were working on, kind of in motion, in action, however you want to describe it. But one of the things that he said to me that and the reason that we're making this video and that Bobby brought this up is because he was saying like, wow, like it just must be awesome to be naturally extroverted like that. It must and that it was a surprise to him when I said that both me and Bobby over here, we are not natural extroverts by any means.
Yeah, so, I've had students tell me all the time, right? Because they see him and me on video, and they'll say to me, like, one of the things people always ask me is, because I guess I've been in teaching dating advice for a really long time, and they see me do interviews with different dating coaches and stuff, and one of the questions they always ask me is, who's the best you've ever seen in field, right? Like, who's the guy that's just fucking great? And I always say Rob, because literally, I remember the first time I hung out with him, it was like, going back to my introverted nature, we're out at a bar, and within, a few minutes, he's like literally in the corner making out with some girl, and now I'm like, I'm in the bar, like, I don't know anybody there, and I'm like the guy, like, like sipping my beer, feeling like totally uncool because like I got nobody to talk to now, and and what's interesting though is that was my first impression of him, and seeing that and how quick he was and how good he was, I just sort of assumed what a lot of people assume. I assumed, oh, he's just really good, right? Like. And when you get to know him, you realize like he's a cool guy, but he's definitely not that like social guy in most situations. He's kind of like me and him will go to an event now that we hang out, we go somewhere, and we'll be the guys just hanging out on our own, kind of doing our own thing, not quite like the life of the party type of guy.
They're trying to avoid everyone, basically. Yeah, like sitting at our own table, because that's the thing is that. The way I look at it, the difference between an introvert and an extrovert is an extrovert is someone who takes energy from social situations and they like being gregarious and talking to a lot of people. And it's funny, I guess the style of interaction that I sort of developed and that I like to teach is really more of an introverted style. I like to just talk to one person and make a connection with one girl. If I see a group of girls and there's an attractive girl in that group, I'm not trying to talk to that whole group. I'm not trying to be, talk to a show host or everyone's friend. I'm just trying to, talk to that girl I really want to talk to. So a lot of what I teach and what I try to do is to figure out a way to only talk to that one girl in a socially acceptable way without coming off like creepy or weird, pulling a girl away from her friends. But that's what I think a lot of guys, it's a surprise to see them that they don't need to go up and be these extroverted, talking to everyone, making everyone my friend. I don't want more friends. I just want, I got enough. You're my friend. I got enough friends as it is. I'd like a couple, as guys, we're always looking for more ladies in our life. But in terms of friends, I'm good. So I'm not really like an extroverted person in that respect.
Yeah, it's kind of, like. It's weird, right? Because a lot of guys, like they say, they see personality, and even like Rob and I here, we're similar in a sense, but like I do like meeting people, right? And I've realized that as a person who's sort of introverted by nature, I have to, like, I'm never going to be the guy that, like, just owns a room. So I've got to come up with, like, little hacks, little secrets that allow me to still gain sort of the status in the room. Because the last thing, I worked so hard to get to where I am, and I know you have too. The last thing I want to do now is, like, go back to being the guy I was in, like, high school, like, kind of sitting around feeling like, watching the kids in the pool party having fun, and me going, how do I get in there? Like, I remember one time with my friend Bill, Bill, this was like early on, years ago, and we go out and we meet some girls, and like, and he like brings his girl home, and he's like banging her, and we were sharing we were on vacation, we were sharing like a hotel room, and like I'm in the like other room, like listening to him banging her, and my girl just like, I bored her, she like, she's like, I gotta go. And I'm just like going, I'm in there just feeling like, what am I ever gonna do to be in that situation, right? And I know that when I used to watch a lot of videos like this, or read books, in my head, I always thought I had some disadvantage that I couldn't overcome, right? I always thought, like, to be that guy, I had to change myself so much that I was no longer gonna be myself. And what I realized, and we were kind of talking about this, that like when you really think of the difference of the guy who does really well and the guy who doesn't, it's really just like a few little secrets, right?
So true. And by the way, I just want to pause just to circle back to your story. That sound of someone else having sex in the next room while you're just sitting there alone or frustrated, it's probably the saddest sound in the world. That just cuts you right to your soul. But for me, and it's funny you talk about secrets. It's probably somewhat obvious on these videos that we're not the greatest public speakers, but I really realized how unpolished I was. It's funny, I got, we were laughing about this earlier, but a couple months ago, I was invited to speak at this, this big conference. Jason Capital was bringing together a lot of these speakers in different niches, fitness and making money and just motivation and that kind of thing, and some really, really polished people. So I was really looking forward to speaking at this event, and I prepared my little speech, showed up, and I gave a good speech for me, which is like setting the bar a little bit lower, but I thought I gave a pretty good speech, and afterwards, guys are coming over to me and they're giving me props or whatever, say, I had speech, I had questions for it, and it's a selfish little admission. It's something that when you speak at these events, you like that, you like the positive attention, you spent a lot of time working on a speech, you like getting some feedback, and especially when it's positive, and the last day of the conference, it was funny. It was like Sunday morning. It was like me and my girlfriend had been out, kind of partying late the night before. We had to get up early for checkout, so we were both kind of cranky. We got into a little bit of a fight. She's like, I'm going next, across the street and whatever. And then I was supposed to go pick her up in the car, and they brought my car out. First of all, I drove my shitty secondary car, because it was a long road trip, and it was all dirty. It was just like it was just not the car that I was kind of like sneaking it around to valet so that the guys at the conference wouldn't see like one of these speakers driving this little crappy car or whatever. And they pull up my car, and I very quickly go to put my stuff in, and I don't know how this happened, but somehow I got locked out of the car. And I've done a lot of stupid stuff in my life. It was almost like the gods were conspiring against me. So my car's running, the doors are locked, it's a Sunday. I have to call a locksmith. The locksmith's like, I'm not gonna be able to get there for like another hour and a half. So I'm like, oh God. So now I gotta sit in the lobby, and I was pretending to do work or whatever, but I'm just thinking, I'm just like stewing. I fight with girlfriend, get locked out of the car, I'm cranky, and this guy sidles up next to me, right? And he's like, I saw you speak, I saw you talk, and I wanted to give you some feedback. I had been doing some little work, but just because
I figured he was gonna tell you how awesome it was.
Yeah, I was getting ready. I was like, we wanted to talk about the material, answer some questions. I was like, all right, I can take a break from doing a little work. So look up at this guy, and this guy just starts bulleting off points that he didn't like about my speech. And it wasn't just him. It was always, he was referring to this as we. So he was like, we were all talking about it. This ethereal we. You talk too fast. Your body language is terrible. He's like, it was really clear you were nervous. And he's like, and that would be okay, but the nervousness was just you were sweating a lot. This guy was just lacing into me, and he kept going back to, you're a speaker, so you probably don't, you probably like getting this constructive criticism. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, motherfucker, this is not constructive. I'm like, this is destructive criticism. I was like, and it really brought me back though to like my roots, and I guess that the silver lining in all this, and this kind of little self-esteem drop for me, was that it reminded me of the fact that, look, I am not presenting myself as
and the guy also says to, not to interrupt you, the guy also says to him, he takes another jab and he's like, and then you were parading your hot girlfriend around like trying to show off. And not to say that that's everything, right? But like, you were there giving dating advice, right? And you had probably one of the hottest girls there, as your girlfriend. And it's like, what does any of that other stuff matter, right? I'm not saying it doesn't matter to be a good speaker, but I'm saying like, you figured out what the information you were giving them, like the secrets you were teaching them, they like work. Whether or not your delivery was fine, it doesn't matter. And it's sort of the same thing with actually going out and like hitting on women. It's like all this other stuff, right? All these different things you think. You see a guy who's like the James Bond cool guy, and you like want to be like him because you think, well, I want to look like that when I'm seducing her. But in reality, like that's not how it looks in reality. In reality, it's like to get the girls that we get, it's like you do a few little things, right, that work for us and work for people that we teach them to, and it works. And it's like, if you can get over your ego of like it's got to look like the way we imagine it to look, right? To get up on stage, you imagine Jason Capitol up on stage, he's whatever, and then you feel like, this guy thinks, well, it's got to get like that. It's like, well, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. It's kind of mistaking the messenger for the message, right? It's like, okay, you can get fixated on everything I'm doing wrong, especially I think Jason Capitol just invites me to those events to make himself look better. I mean, he is such a polished, awesome speaker, and he's a great orator. In fact, I like going to these things just to watch him speak because, I do learn a lot about public speaking. I mean, obviously, I'm a slow learner in that respect, but at the same time, you can get fixated on how awkward me and Bobby are, or anything else, but like Bobby said, that doesn't matter. About what's like kind of the signal to noise. What are we trying to do here? When you're out at a bar, do you want to look like the coolest guy in the room, or do you want to leave that bar with the hottest girl, in the room? And that's really a question you got to ask yourself, because I think a lot of guys get fixated with this like image in their head, whether it came from Hollywood, their friends, some urban legend of how they think attraction should look, and instead let's cut the signal to noise and let's do what actually works. It might not look the most like the James Bond or the I don't even know some other whatever insert your favorite stereotypical Hollywood portrayal of the ladies' man here, but in real life it doesn't look like that. In real life it's actually thankfully a lot simpler.
And I guess part of this whole video really is, in essence, us going, because we get guys going, and it's funny to us, right? Because we get comments on our videos like, these two, look at them, they don't get laid, or these guys, like, it's like a lot of that we're gay. We're doing these videos, right? And it comes to a point like we laugh at that kind of stuff, right? Like you're in this, you're on camera, like it doesn't. I had a guy, me and Rob did our seminar, right? We did a seminar. And one of the students there, this guy, Bart, a little older guy with like a heavy Louisiana drawl, he actually paid for our platinum. So he came out to dinner with us. It's like him, a couple students. We had a table full of girls. And he starts talking to me. He's like, Bobby, there's something about you. He goes, I listen to your stuff and there's just something. He goes, you're not charismatic. You're not really funny. He looks at me and says, you're not bad looking, but you're definitely not good looking. He goes, you don't really talk that well. And I'm just like waiting for the but. You're just sitting there and all the girls are like, wow, like listening, and everybody's like kind of like listening to him. And he goes, and then he just like ends it. It was
just the abrupt ending. It was just like,
he just ends it. I'm like, Bart, come on, finish it.
Like,
throw something out there so that everybody's not,
Oh yeah, but the ironic part about that too is that the girls that had come out, they were girls that I kind of invited out that I knew, and of course, like the girls were like the guy that they were talking about was you, like that they were drawn to you because you have that quiet confidence, and those girls are picking up on it, and even if and like I said, he wasn't trying to like put you down a peg, like, in a weird way. I think somehow
he thought he was complimenting.
Yeah, like complimenting you without the compliment in a way, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. Like all these things, people think that like, oh, you gotta be all those things. The good looking guy, the real charismatic, and you gotta be funny. And you really don't. You really don't. Like the bar, it's not set lower than you think it is. It's actually just set somewhere completely different. Guys get fixated on these things and they just don't know what they should be focusing on.
Yeah, you said a term, and I want to throw this term out there, right? You said the term quiet confidence. And I think in a lot of ways, the two of us have that, right? Like, because we know what we're doing now, because we know, like, hey, we both, I'm in a relationship with a beautiful girl, you're in a relationship, we both had our experiences, right? Like, and we both kind of, we have that, like, we don't, when we go out to a social event, we don't feel like we have to prove anything to anybody, right? But we have that quiet confidence because we know that, like, listen, we know what to do. Like, we know there were secrets we figured out, there's formulas that, like, work, right? So we can go out and not feel like I need to be impressing people. I need to be showing off that I'm extroverted and I'm this outgoing guy, because at the end of the day, that's just, if you enjoy that, do it. But don't feel like you have to do that to get results, right? It's really about knowing what to do and being confident and projecting that, because that's just as confident. If a woman sees a guy out, right, who's just there and he doesn't, it's like you're much better off just being the laid back, cool guy who nothing phases than being the introverted guy trying to be extroverted who's just not good at it. Just know what works, right? Figure out what works. And we've taught it and we've taught it and we can tell you exactly what it is. And let all the noise of being like this person, that person out of your head, because at the end of the day, attractiveness is attractiveness. Whether you're an introverted attractive guy or an extroverted attractive guy, the woman's still going to feel the same level of attractiveness for you.
Exactly. And that's the thing, and that's why just learning what actually matters versus learning what you think matters.
So, I had mentioned earlier that, like, when people say to me, who is the best you've seen, right? And I know this is embarrassing to him when I say it because, he's in a relationship now. And even the term pickup artist, like when I met him years ago, he was like a pickup artist, not to embarrass you, but that's what he referred to. And he was actually ranked, back then in the day, there was like websites that ranked it, and he was ranked, I think we got up to like the number 2 pickup artist in the entire world. Yeah. But I know it's embarrassing you, right? You didn't get number 1, but but he was ranked number 2 pickup artist in the world, right? And the reason I say that is because we want to do a class. We've decided that, like, we've done a lot of these shorter videos, and it's cool to get on camera, but we want to go deep into the secrets, so to speak, right? Like, what makes a guy be able to still be attractive without changing his personality? Like, what are the elements of attractiveness, of attractive communication, right? Because that's really what it comes down to. It's like, you have to communicate. You can't be the guy in the corner, right, thinking you're cooler than school and not actually go over and talk to the girls, right? That's not what it would be nice if that was true. I would have loved it. I would never have had to learn anything, any flirting or anything, if I could have just continued being the guy feeling a little awkward, but did some body language that made girls come up to me. And then when they came up to me, I didn't have to say anything to them. I would have loved it if that was true. But the fact is, to get where you want to go with women or even in life, you have to be able to communicate, right? And attractive communication is communication that gets certain results. It's not communication that looks attractive, right? Like, and I know we use the James Bond thing, but the reason I say that is because to me, I thought attractive communication was like, if you listen to a conversation, it's like, wow, what that guy said was just so smooth. But I've seen this guy out taking girls out of bars within minutes. And if you actually, I think we years ago, filmed something for a student. And it's like, if you're watching it, it doesn't, like, you don't watch it going, oh my God, he's so smooth,
yeah, it's
right?
Not Shakespearean.
But if you break it down, right? If you break it down, it was like 3 or 4 things he did that changed she went from him being like this guy that's talking to her to her being willing to follow him out of the bar very quickly, right? Because he did 3 or 4 things that made her follow him out of the bar. And we wanted to do like a longer training where we kind of talk about what those 3 or 4 things are.
Yeah, and that's so key, and it's amazing. Like the guy I was teaching over the weekend, once these things are revealed, and once you see what they are, and once you kind of you pull the curtain away from the myth of what you think creates attraction, and you see what actually creates attraction, it's awesome to see guys going out and sort of testing this out and seeing for yourself, holy shit, like this is so much easier than I thought it is. But yet, it's something it's totally counterintuitive.
Yeah, and it's inspiring too. You know, it's inspiring because like I'm sure, like when like you know I going back to me saying, oh, when people ask me who's the best, and I say him, right? He's met my college friends and stuff, right? And they know his reputation from me, but when they meet him, they're like
underwhelmed.
Yeah, they're like underwhelmed. They're like this guy like
fucking nerd.
I remember one of my friends with like the lowest on the totem pole of like my friends, nice guy, but nice guy in like the nice guy way, actually had so little respect for you that he tried to steal your girlfriend.
Good luck. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. But like not to knock him, but I'm just my point of this is like the reason, and I'm sure when your friends meet me, it's like the same thing, and I'm sure there's people who watched us thinking the same thing, because it's like I guess my point is like focus on the little, we call them secrets because that's the closest thing you can explain to. It's like, and I believe that in anything in life, whether it's public speaking, whether it's being really good at like anything, right? It's learning, like I call them either winning formulas or secrets. There's things that you need to know, and when you know them, you realize like all the other stuff is just noise. So we're going to do a masterclass on this, and we're going to put a link in this video or below this video. We do it once or twice a week. You know, we're going to do it live, so it's going to be actually me and him on there, me kind of grilling him and him grilling me on what is attraction, like what are the secrets that get the results and not create the noise. So I would love for you guys to join us. If you related to anything we said, and you kind of want to get to that next level of being able to create attraction, but you're like, you have that mental block of like, I'm never going to be that guy, join us for this special masterclass, because I'm really excited. This is probably one of the most excited I've been to teach in a really long time.
Yeah, no, it's great stuff to teach.
So we'll see you there, hopefully.